Hello, ladies. Long time no video. So as you may have seen on my video, the last video I posted, I did give birth, obviously. Otherwise, I'd be like 43 weeks or something. So this is going to be my labor and delivery video. Hopefully it does not go too long, but it was a long labor and delivery, so okay, let's just get right into it. Okay, so it kind of started Friday night, which was my due date, October 12th. My friends made me, since all day nothing was happening, so my friends brought me to Walmart and made me power walk around the whole entire Walmart, like, I don't know, 4 times or something. And that was at night, Friday night. And then I went home, and about 1:30 in the morning, I was laying in bed on YouTube, and I felt a pop down there, and all of a sudden a little gush of fluid. So I clenched my legs together and I called out for my husband that he better hurry up and come there because I think my water just broke and he needs to give me a towel before it gets on the mattress. So I was clenching and he gave me a towel, and I got up and it was leaking, and I ran to the bathroom, and it wasn't like whoosh, like, you know, a big gush. It was just a tiny gush with leaking into the toilet. So while I was on the toilet, I called labor and delivery, and I told them that I thought my water broke and should I come in, and she asked me if the fluid was clear or not, and it was. And so she told me to come in, and so I put on a pad, and every time I moved, like my legs and stuff, I felt a warm little tiny gush of fluid. And so, well, that Friday I was supposed to be induced, and they put me on a call list or whatever, you know. So when they had a room available, then they would call me in. They hadn't called me that day because they had 3 other people in front of me that needed to be induced still. So I didn't get a call that day. Good thing too, because I went to labor naturally. So as soon as I felt that gush, that's when my contractions started. They were, I would say, I don't know how close they were then, but they weren't like far apart. They were probably 10-15 minutes apart, and they weren't, you know, too bad. So we get to the hospital at 3 something in the morning, because of course my husband had to play a game of Call of Duty before we left. So we get to the hospital. I'm not leaking anymore. And they check me, and I think I was 1.5 centimeters maybe. And so they wanted to test the fluid to see if it's amniotic fluid. One of the first tests was positive, and then the other one she took to go look under the microscope was negative. So they came back and they did another test, and I think it was negative, and the one to look under the microscope was negative. So the on-call doctor comes in with the things that you use for a pap smear to see down there, and she was digging for it. She's like, okay, I'm going to go deeper. Okay, I'm going to go deeper. And I'm going to go deeper. And she got some fluid out to go test it again to see if I had a high leak. And it was negative. So they said they were going to send me home. They were going to give me a shot for sleeping in pain, I guess. And then she swept my membranes, and that was so painful. She was like literally pushing me up in the bed. That's how hard she was. She kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and she looked like she was enjoying it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay, so they sent me home. Contractions got worse that day. I kind of was sleeping in between them all day. I was laying in the bed all day, like on and off sleeping. I'd wake up, have a contraction, go back to sleep. And they got pretty close together. I think they had gotten to like 4 minutes or so. So, Saturday morning, no, not Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So all that happened Saturday. Sunday morning, they had gotten worse. So I called back labor and delivery, and I told them my contractions were getting closer together and they were really painful. So I asked them if I could come in again, and it was like 1 something in the morning again. So we went in and they checked me, and I think I was a 2. And I was there for a little bit and nothing was happening. I was there probably for like 2 or 3 hours or so, and nothing was happening. So they gave me another shot in the butt and sent me home. And no, when I left, they said I was a 3.5, I think. When I left the hospital in the Sunday morning, they said I was 3.5. And so I left, came back. Okay. Sorry, this is confusing. It was so long that I am confused. Okay, so my mother-in-law came Sunday afternoon, and she started timing my contractions. They had gotten a lot worse to where I didn't want to talk through them. So she started timing them, and they got closer and closer and closer and closer to where they were like anywhere from 2 minutes to 4 minutes apart. And so I called in labor and delivery again. And I had to give the phone to my mother-in-law because I couldn't talk to the lady. So she explained to her what was going on, and they said to come in. So we went in, and that was the most painful ride ever, because sitting there having contractions with your husband yapping in your ear is not fun. So we get there, they check me, they said I was a 2.5, and we were like, the last time we were here, they said I was a 3.5, and they had 2 people check to make sure. So the lady was like, well, you're 2.5, blah, blah, blah. And this lady was so rude. I was having contractions, and I was breathing through them, and she kept asking me them dumb questions that they asked me already 2 times before. All them, when's the last time you had a bowel movement, and are you on welfare, and all those questions. 3rd time they're asking me all these questions that weekend. And I wasn't answering them because I was having contractions. And she looked over at my family and was like, does she speak English? Like, really, lady? And so I just rolled my eyes. I was like, whatever. But she's like, yeah, you're only 2.5. And we're like, no, because a whole bunch of other people already checked. And I know, people have different ways of measuring or whatever. So we had another nurse come in, and she checked me, and she said that, I don't remember what she said I was, and they were going to send me home again and give me another stupid shot for pain. And there was no way I was going back home, not with contractions every few minutes. So my mother-in-law got angry, but the good kind of angry, because she got, things going. So she's, basically kind of told the nurse off in a professional way. And so the nurse was like, okay, I'll check you one more time before you leave. And I think she did something, because that time when she checked me, my water broke. I don't know if she did it or what. And she's like, okay, we're admitting you, your water broke. And that was the weirdest feeling ever. The whole entire bed was just like whoosh, just wet. So I got admitted. I think that I was 3 or 3.5. And then, so they wanted me to take a bath, which was not fun. I think I did that in the morning too, and it didn't work. But they wanted me to take a bath and to walk the halls. So I walked the halls having contractions. Every time I had a contraction, I would grab onto a rail. And then I took a bath. That was uncomfortable because, for one, it's hard. It's a hard tub. And you can't really, you don't really have space to sit how you want because it's just a long, narrow tub. It was a jacuzzi, it had jets and stuff, but, let's see what happened next. So, I went through all these contractions. I got up to a 7, I think a 7.5 before I got, my epidural. And they said that it was Sunday night they said I would get my epidural at 11 o'clock. So they're like, oh, you only have such and such time for your contractions, and you'll get your epidural at 11. So that's what my goal was, because those contractions were like radiating pain down my thighs, and sitting in the bed made them worse. So I stood up in the corner of the room, holding onto the counter, because every time I had a contraction, my legs felt like they were going to collapse underneath me from the pain. But I was very good. I was pretty quiet, just breathing through. Sometimes I would make noise or whatever, and my father-in-law didn't like it. He left the room because I was in pain. So yeah, I ended up getting my epidural at midnight, Sunday night, which stopped my dilating at 7.5 for like 3 hours, and then they changed my position in bed, how I was laying. They put me in the Superman position. Then they said it would make the baby come down a little further, which it did. And the doctor physically turned. I guess she was sunny side up. He turned her head to make her facing down, and I'm so glad I had epidural during that, because I felt all that pressure. I can't even imagine what it would have felt like if I felt the pain. So, yeah. So they had to give me Pitocin to jumpstart my body back into labor, and it worked by 8, I think by 8 or so, I was fully dilated, and they said within an hour I was going to push. I didn't start pushing till 9:30 or so, and I pushed for over 2 hours, I think it was. It was just the nurse. She was awesome. She was so awesome. She was so sweet. She was I think she said she'd only been doing that for some months, and so it was still exciting to her about baby being born. And the doctor had still been saying stuff about, the on-call doctor, about getting a C-section if things didn't work out right. And the nurse was like, no, we're gonna do this, no C-section. So it was her on one leg. She was holding my leg that I could still feel and hold up, and my husband was holding my dead leg. And we did a whole bunch of the sets or whatever they do of pushing. They count to 10 3 times or whatever. We did that for over 2 hours. It was so quiet and boring in there that my sister and my friend were falling asleep while I was pushing, because the nurse was just counting off, or whatever, as lulling them to sleep. I was like, rude, are you guys falling asleep over there? So, I noticed that when I felt the urge to push, that's when I actually made progress. When the nurse told me to push, nothing really happened. So her head kept coming down and going back up, coming down, going back up, and let's see what happened. So everything, when she finally started coming down, that's when, things went really fast. Before her head came out, he used scissors and he cut me all the way to my behind. So they consider that a 3rd-degree tear. Yeah. pretty painful. After everything wears off, it's painful. So her head came out fine, and then he told me stop pushing, and I think he suctioned everything out, her nose and everything, and then they had me push the rest of her out, and she just came right out. I could feel her coming out. Not pain or anything, but I can like physically feel her body coming out. And her shoulders didn't get stuck, nothing. Everything went good. Her heartbeat was fine the entire time I was in labor. Her heartbeat was perfect. And they pulled her out and they put her on my chest, and she was looking right at me. And then they put her over there to get all cleaned up and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a long. So she was born at 11:23 a.m. on Monday morning, October 15th. She was 8 pounds 11.5 ounces, and she was 20 inches long. She came out with really dark hair, and now her hair is like getting lighter. It almost looks blonde sometimes in the light. It's crazy. So her daddy might be getting his wish of having a blonde baby. We'll see. And her eyes are getting light too, like they're gonna be blue. I can't think of anything else with my labor and delivery. This is already 16 minutes long. Oh, yay. So, I guess my next video is going to be my 2-week postpartum and my Aria's 2-week update. So, thanks for watching. Bye.